Hey, what's up, speedtards? Welcome to episode 24, I believe, of Futurism Forever podcast. Tonight, we're going to be discussing On Pain by Ernst Junger. We got a good panel together tonight. We got Many Dog, Existentialist Non Gratis is back. We got Luke back. Wald is on for the first time, and Alcaz. So, what's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. May as well get right into it. So I guess a good place to start is part one of On Pain has it's where the classic quote comes from. Tell me your relation to pain and I'll tell you who you are. So I guess start on reflecting on that statement. Like, how do you guys feel about that quote? Tell me your relation to pain and I'll tell you who you are.
I mean, as a man, I don't see how you could really argue with that statement. It's pretty it's it's got that machismo behind it, and it's everybody wants to be, as a man wants to be tough. Even like, the guys on the left who pretend like they don't care about these things and they don't care about what they call like abstract ideals of masculinity and femininity. Like deep down they do care. And so, yeah, I think that statement rings true to everybody, even people that don't like Junger or disagree with him.
Yeah, like if pain breaks you or you're not able to, overcome it and accomplish your goals, like it breaks you, you're soft, you're weak, pain can make you stronger. It's like a test.
It's even true for women. Like women experience great pain when they're birthing a child or even going through a fucking period. So I think as a woman or as a man, like your relationship to pain is very important.
Yeah.
X, what are your thoughts on that statement?
Yeah.
Well,
it is something that we covered a bit on the morning show. I'm glad that CSD is back. Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, we hear you, dude.
So yeah, it's great that CSD is here. All right, it's great that CSD is here. It's something that the three of us brought on the morning show, with Vol's channel. So, anyways, yeah, it's a broader reflection of the times, I guess, because and Vol can explain it a bit better than me, but around that time, a lot of the values were came from the Great War, and there was a sort of metaphysics, and
You're cutting out really bad.
Yeah, I was hoping that wasn't just me.
No, man, you should fix your fucking internet.
I couldn't
All
comprehend
right.
anything being said.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah. What he was saying, I think he was talking about
I'll let
post
someone
World
else
War
go, and
One.
I'll fix that up, eh?
All right. Do you want to try logging off and coming back in? Maybe that'll help. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. But yeah, to put this in context, this was written post World War One, I believe. So Junger famously wrote Storm of Steel, which was his memoir, his experiences in the war. He kind of saw how technology was changing the face of warfare. And yeah, he thought our society was getting too soft and comfortable, and pain challenges people. It makes them harder. They you're going to be stronger because you've endured pain and it didn't break you. You were able to overcome,
Yeah. He also criticizes a utopian socialist like Edward Bellamy for believing that, in the year 2000, we're going to be living in paradise due to technology. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen at all. It's going to look way different from that.
Yeah. So yeah, I assume we've all read the text. Does anyone have any thoughts they want to share? I don't have
I'm curious on Alcaz's opinion on that statement.
On the statement of like your relationship to pain.
Yeah, like would you consider it the same as like would you consider the relation to pain statement the same as the relation to death? Like change pain for death, exchange the two. Would you say that that's a fair swap?
I think it's
spirit?
comparable. I think it's comparable, but I don't think it's a one-to-one kind of thing, because I think your relationship to death and your relationship to pain are like very different kind of things in your life. Like it kind of changes. Like it's not one-to-one, but I see the comparison because they're both kind of painful things. You need to accept it. You need to accept in your life if you want to live on and be human.
Yeah, one's more of like a emotional existential pain, and one's like actual like in the moment pain. But I think that they're very comparable.
Yeah, they are comparable. I think your relationship to death is very important, for sure.
I think that your relationship to pain is going to coincide well with your relationship to death. If you have a high tolerance to pain, you're gonna have a high tolerance to fear of death.
I agree, and ironically, Ernst Junger lived to be a fucking 102. So
yeah,
yeah, he was in 2 world wars. He saw a lot. He saw like the entire 20th century, pretty much. So a very eventful life for sure.
I had a buddy in Serbia who has a good quote from like Ernst Junger, and it's because like there's a common, it might be a futurist quote too, but I know it was common with like the black shirts, and it was like the "Live fast, die young" quote. But he said that like Junger inspired their group to use the quote and said it's "Live fast, die old."
Yeah, I saw that. I reposted that, and Lizardi was like what the fuck? No, but Lizardi got mad at me for that when I posted that quote to our channel. Remember that, Giovanni?
Yeah. He's really into Yukio Mishima, and he believes in like dying at your peak. You know,
I can somewhat. I resonate with both. I think that some people die old, and some people die young. Not everybody's going to die young. So I think it's a great thing to die young for a great reason. I think it's a great thing to live old as long as you lived a good life.
Yeah, some people hit their peak at like 15. Other people's hit their peak at 40. So it's not like one set thing.
It was the whole fatalism thing, which I kind of touched on in the document I wrote. The life-affirming value of futurism for the website. Like the fatalism is a very double-edged sword, right? There's kind of 2 aspects to it. There's like life-affirming fatalism and this kind of like death-affirming fatalism, which I think Lizardi is kind of the latter.
Yeah, there's actually a quote on death. He says that if you're at peace with death, there's no hurry. I think that sums it up very well. Another thing, I think there's a very similar quote from Nietzsche, and in some way on pain, maybe a response to the passages about pain in the gay science. If you're probably familiar with it's one of Nietzsche's most famous quotes. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. That was definitely in the back of my head throughout the reading of On Pain, that quote.
Very common quote, yeah.
Also,
Junger kind of manipulates it, and he says, what kills you makes you impossibly strong.
Yeah. Also the Nietzsche quote, if you want to live a fruitful life, like you have to live dangerously. Like you shouldn't run away from pain.
Yeah.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for going back to like the Iliad and the Odyssey, like Achilles and Odysseus. Like Achilles dies very young, but Odysseus dies very old. So there is the 2-sided coin to that in those 2 characters.
Would you not say that Achilles lived a better life though? Or a greater life.
After his death, he did. But I think that I think Odysseus probably lived a happier life. But Odysseus
not happier, greater. Achilles lived a greater life.
Okay. So. That was the whole prophecy, right? Like if you can die here and be known forever, or you can go back to Greece and live till old age. That was like the whole prophecy around Achilles.
Yeah, it was happiness or greatness.
I will say this though, Odysseus definitely achieved a pretty high level of greatness, even though he's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as
I mean, he
great
was a
as
Greek hero.
Achilles.
He was a Greek hero as well.
Yeah, he's still remembered today.
Yeah. Well, and his yeah, but he went through like 20 years of just struggling to go home. It was 20 years, yeah,
He,
give or
20
take.
to 30.
Yeah, I forget
Yeah.
exactly how long, but yeah, it takes him a really long time to get home from the war, and he runs into all kinds of obstacles that he has to get through. And then when he gets back, there's all these suitors trying to like get his wife and shit, who assumes
Yeah.
like he died, and he has to kick some ass and shit.
CSD, you should mute yourself, man. Like,
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you're not talking, I'm getting
in
a
a
lot of
fucking wind tunnel.
background noise.
Sandstorm.
X is in the comments now. Like, are you not going to be able to come back on? It's too bad. If he's having connection issues, but like, we'll not dwell on that. There's another quote from On Pain I want to read, and we'll talk about that. So
Okay.
there is only one worldview that is worthy of us, and which has already been discussed as the choice of Achilles. Better a short life full of deeds and glory than a long life without substance. The danger is so great for every individual, every class, every people, that to cherish any illusion whatsoever is deplorable. Time cannot be stopped. There is no possibility for prudent retreat or wise renunciation. Only dreamers believe there is a way out. Optimism is cowardice. We are born into this time and must courageously follow the path to the end as destiny demands. There is no other way. Our duty is to hold on to the lost post without hope, without rescue, like the Roman soldier whose bones were found in the front door in Pompeii, who during the eruption of Vesuvius died at his post because they forgot to relieve him. That is greatness. The honorable end is the one thing that cannot be taken from a man. So thoughts on that?
Wasn't
quote?
that was that Spangler?
It was Ernst Junger, wasn't it?
That was
Yeah,
Ernst
but they-
Junger? I thought that was
Spengler's
I thought that
very
was-
similar, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I swear, and Spangler
I-
says that's what it means to be a thoroughbred at the end.
Evola talks about that fucking thing too, right? The soldier at Pompeii.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all use that quote.
I think it's just a very
Okay.
common reference thing.
Okay. Well, I was listening. I was like, wait, is this Junger or Spangler?
It's listed on Goodreads.com. It's listed on quotes from On Pain.
Yeah,
It's
this is
credited to him.
from On Pain. I remember that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because the Achilles part wasn't in.
No,
Spangler's.
never mind. But that is Spangler. That is Spangler. It's from Man
Is
in
it?
Techniques. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Man
because
in
I've read
Techniques.
Men in Techniques. Or Techniques.
Fucking Ernst Junger references it in On Pain.
Ah,
he quotes,
okay.
he quotes Spangler.
All right, sorry, my bad, guys. Anyway,
No,
I think it is relevant to what we were talking about, though.
Okay, it's still in the book. It's still in the book, so it's still. Junger
Yeah.
didn't say it, but it was still something that he put in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goodreads.com kind of fucked me over on that one.
Yeah, yeah, I've had
Made
that
me
before too.
Made me look like an idiot, but yeah, I mean, I think it is relevant to what we were talking about, though. You know, just
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
dropping your post, like standing your ground, and you know, if trouble befalls you, or you know, you enter a dangerous situation, like, you know, don't run away from it, like accept the challenge, and you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, like you'll be better for it.
Yeah. What I thought was interesting about that quote, though, is that quote's kind of like a nihilistic view of things. But what's good about it, though, is it's telling you to basically have like that firm stance, even in like the face of absolute failure, that you should still like. He says that's what makes you a thoroughbred. That's what breeds greatness. Is even when all is lost, you stand the position. Even if it means you'll lose, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting the principle before like pragmatic ideas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully X is able to come back, because he's like the most well-read on Junger on the panel. But
Yeah.
Wald, you definitely know your Junger too, right?
Yeah, I've read a fair bit.
Okay. All right, so like, we'll be able to hold it together. Hopefully X comes back, though. So yeah, what else? Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm not the only one who read this. Like, what stood out to you guys? Like,
I got something I would like to say.
go ahead.
The thing is like with pain, we may be able to escape like certain pains, but we end up creating new pains. For instance, now in the modern era, we now have abundance of foods and medicines that can cure diseases from like hundreds of years ago. But now, what do people die from? Like overeating or overdosing on different
Or
types of
killing
medicines.
themselves because
So-
life has no meaning.
So no matter how much we try to escape pain, we end up creating a new type of pain.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. And there's a book, Squire's Trial, it was like an Iron March
Yeah.
publication. It touches on that a little bit, where like liberal democracy wants to eliminate all pain, but you can't do that, like, because you're always going to experience pain. So trying to limit it is really stupid. You should embrace pain that benefits the greater good. So yeah, I think you're right. A lot of people will try to avoid pain, and what they do is that they just push pain onto either other people or themselves, but in other situations and in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, like 100 years ago, no one was on antidepressants or some shit. They just like lived through that, and they just kind of like absorbed the pain and like, I think they had more character because of it. Antidepressants just kind of makes you numb and like helps you hide from pain, makes it more manageable, probably makes your life a little more pleasant, I guess, but it just kind of numbs you too. Like, at the same time, it cancels off like joy and shit like that. So
yeah, I would rather take the the pain and the actually feeling than just be a numb bug.
Yeah, that's what antidepressants do, man. They make you fucking make you not be sad anymore, but they also make you not fucking be happy or angry. They just make you a fucking zombie. And
all sorts of medicines do that too. Like I'll go on Outcast. My bad.
I'm saying so many kids today are on antidepressants in high school, especially, or Ritalin, or all these other psychoactive drugs, and it's gonna be really fucking them up in the long run.
Yes, Schmidt and Junger actually discuss this, and there's a letter from Schmidt to Junger, and he says that one of the great ideas of pain is what Hobbes says of his birth. He says that my mother gave birth to twins, me, and also fear. So it's like there's this world of fear out there, or a world of pain that is something that we have to confront. It's something we struggle with our whole life. So with that, it's something fateful, and it's a great thing we have to struggle with to the end, to the bitter end.
Yeah, no one said life was going to be easy,
Yeah,
there's a whole like spectrum of feeling and emotion, and like you can't have one without the other. Like if you get rid of one, you're going to cancel out the others. You're going to fuck up the whole like equilibrium or whatever. What I mean?
And something else he points out is how like metaphysical or theological pain, it can be a colder and more harsh type of pain, but actually there's a bit of a comfort in it. Whereas physical pain, it's not as great, but it can overwhelm through quantity. Like it adds up, and there's just more and more of it, like the rain of quantity. It's not something that kills your spirit, but it'll kill your body and just spread. Like that's part of mental illness and getting addicted to all these painkillers and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Reign of Quantity is like a Rene Guénon reference, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't read him, so like I'm not too familiar. What is Reign of Quantity? Like, can you define it briefly, or?
I was really only using that just because it's a known reference. I'm not familiar with him either.
Okay.
I believe I haven't really read. I've only read small parts of Guénon, but I believe it's just talking about. Evola touches on it, I think, about like the reign of quantity is just like a lot of less intense things. So like instead of
Okay.
like Evola always preaches, you know, the quality over the quantity of things. A few good men over a bunch of subpar men. I believe that is what the reign of quantity is the opposite of a lot of subpar men.
Okay. X is back. Is your mic working better now? Or
Please, you tell me. Is it better?
it sounds good.
Yeah, seems better.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, great. I was actually listening in through my phone while I was trying to get back on to keep updated, and I was surprised to see some familiar names in the comment section. So hi, Lekal. Hope you're doing well. Um, much love to Norway. Yeah. So I've been you should read Junger. I am reading Junger. So um yeah, so I was listening to you guys and you're talking about, yeah, dude, you can't shield yourself from pain. That's gonna cause a lot of I don't want to say spiritual, but for lack of a better word, spiritual ailments to you, and you want to confront it, right? You want to be a man and like stand resolute against it, and that's all fine. But I wanted to mention that Junger wasn't saying that from a greatness, right? Junger wasn't like the Achilles analogy where it's like you have to stand firm and live up to your status as a man. That wasn't what Junger was going for. I don't think what Junger was going for was a more of a listen. Your life is so insignificant now with the omnipresence of technology. Your life is very it's worthless, and you have to and the wheels of history dictates that you just suck it up and you succumb to the technological order and you bear it and you grit it. You grit through it, and that was sort of the attitude that I picked up and a lot of others picked up. So I kind of wanted to interject that to maybe put some food for thought, I guess.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't think of it that way at all. But what I think was interesting about that is that quote, that Spangler quote, he includes it in the book.
Man and Technics.
Yeah. And but he includes the part where he talks about Achilles in it too. So I think maybe there's a kind of a middle ground between the two. Yeah, maybe that is the main focus is like the greatness, but maybe it's not completely that. Well, maybe he did think that kind of your life was meaningless, but there was still greatness to achieve in a meaningless life.
So yeah, so at that time, CST can know more about it too. What Vol definitely. So at that time, Junger was talking about this phenomenon called total mobilization, right? And if you read on pain, you'll notice that pain is really the concept of pain is just a pretext to a lot of the other things that he wanted to talk about. He had to get that out of the way so that he could talk about what he really wanted to talk about, which was technology and the impact it had on humanity. And so it it wasn't until during World War II that he sort of had a more humanistic element to him, and that's when he started to say, look, you could find some sort of solace, or you could find some sort of refuge in this inner freedom, which, of course, Geo, you know where I'm going with this. You could find it in some inner freedom called the anarch. But until then, Junger was very much in favor of this archetype called the worker. And the worker, to quote Vaught here, who's also in the high Vaught, to quote Vaught here, you could almost think of it as like a bastardized version of The Last Man. You could imagine this. I think this was how I put it. You could imagine Nietzsche's Last Man, which was the type that was uncreative, had no drive, had no creative impulse, had no life to him. I don't know who's making the clicking sounds. Who had no life to him, and if you take that, but then you mechanize him, you program him like a robot. That's the worker, right? Something that blindly works and toils away. And Junger was saying that's what we should be. We have to confront pain. We have to live with it so that we can become that kind of blind, austere worker type. And that is something that he went more in the worker dominion form. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't read The Worker yet. What is his concept of the worker? You're like comparing it to like the Nietzschean Last Man. He talks about it in On Pain, but like I haven't read that book, so like I don't
Okay.
think I fully
All right.
appreciated what he was talking about.
Yeah. So again, like I'm gonna preface it by saying Vaude knows much better than I do. He's the expert here. But to answer, so I'll answer it in as quick as possible. So the worker is just, as I said, is just an archetype of uh, it's a metaphysical being that Junger talked about, where the condition of man was becoming so dehumanized through technology that he was essentially saying that a new type of person is going to emerge from that dehumanization process, and that person is something that has uh, no creative, like I said, no creative impulse to him. He's not a person anymore because all he does is work, and he toils away. Um, that's the best example that I can give. Again, Vaude, if you have anything to say, um, I would love to hear your end because I'm pretty sure you could explain it a lot better than I can.
Yeah, it's one of his most difficult works actually, and people sometimes give up on it. Basically, I wouldn't say it's an archetype. He has some criticisms of the archetypal formulation. He works on type and form. So what you have is, let's say, the proletarian. That's a type of worker, whereas the form of the worker is it's something that changes through history. You'd have Heracles who had the 12 labors. That's like a type of mythological or divine labor, which creates the highest sense of wealth. Whereas the proletarian, he's more stuck in impoverishment and forced labor, technological labor. So what he's really looking at is a heroic type of labor. So he doesn't want this mechanized being. He wants more of this theological worker who is more militaristic, and he's heroic in that he would defeat the bourgeois figure who is really the image of liberalism, and he's the liberal defense network that defeats pain and defeats danger. And what we really need to face is like this militaristic type of worker who defends the nation, creates a powerful nation through the worker.
Okay.
That seems to make in conjunction with the quote from Spengler. That seems to be a better definition. I think that was a good explanation.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's responding to Spengler in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
What is it? Socialism and Prussianism. That's
Prussian socialism. Sorry.
Prussia,
Yeah.
socialism, I think, or Prussian socialism.
Yeah. So essentially, to kind of wrap it all with a bow and tie, the whole premise of the book, right? Tying it back to the book itself, On Pain, he's saying, look, if you want to reach that state of the or type of the worker, then we're gonna have to conceptualize pain in a new way. No longer are the days when we can insulate ourselves like the bourgeoisie has done before the Great War. No longer can we do that. No longer can we insulate ourselves. No longer can we negate the unpleasantries of everyday life. We have to grit through it. We have to bear through the pain so that we can keep up with the technological demands of the current social order. So that is the essence of On Pain.
Okay. I want to read this passage from part 10 on the Lumpenproles. So I'm going to read that quick and we'll vibe off that. On the same day, I also had the opportunity to observe along several side streets the lumpen proletariat, which in no way is of the world of abstract ideas, as is the case with the masses. Bakunin was right in regarding the lumpen proletariat as a much more effective revolutionary force. Seen from the other side, one could say it's enough to disperse the masses, while the lumpen proletariat must be sought out in its hiding places. Its greater effectivity, furthermore, suggests that it owns a real battle plan, the age-old formation of the pack. The lumpen proletariat's relation to pain is also much more substantial, if no doubt negative. The masses kill with machines. They tear apart and trample underfoot. By contrast, the lumpen proletariat is directly familiar with the joys of torture. The masses are moved morally. They unite in situations of excitement and indignation. They must be convinced that the opponent is evil and that they are prosecuting justice against this evil. The lumpen proletariat is beyond moral valuations and thus always and everywhere ready to seize the opportunity, i.e., with every disturbance of the social order, regardless of origin. The lumpen proletariat therefore functions beyond the more limited space of politics. Instead, one must regard the lumpen proletariat as a kind of underground army reserve that the social order keeps on alert. The source of the infernal and crippling vapors is concealed here, which are released to the surface during times of social upheaval. Indeed, this marks the depth of such upheavals. The history here which are released to the the history of which has yet to be written. The brief number of days during which the masses eliminated their opponents fills the cities with clamor. But there follow other more dangerous situations where silence reigns. Pain now demands payback on its outstanding debt. So thoughts on his take on the lumpen proletariat in part 10. Is it like an accurate view of lumpen proles, do you think? Or apparently he's going off of Bakunin, which I found interesting.
I think it's 50-50. They can be either or. We've seen times like in Colombia where they were on the side of the government against the revolutionaries, and other times they've been on the side of the revolutionaries. It's 50-50.
Yeah, part of his point there is not that it's one side or the other. It's like it sweeps through the city after a revolution like a plague. It's like a form of justice, and that goes back to some of Plato's thinking, how wealth is redistributed in moments of revolution. It's like a god intervening and then and bringing justice back through the form of wealth. There's something else with Nietzsche as well. He says that the criminal is a type of strong man under unfavorable conditions. So that's similar too. Is like it gives the idea where lumpen proles are fighting from this criminal strongman element.
Yeah. I know the Nietzsche quote you're talking about. It was in the Beno Gang series I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
Where he talks about like the criminal strongman, and yeah, I forget the exact quote, but I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to look it up. Anyone has anything to say, like open mic?
Yeah, so just for the record, if anyone doesn't know, the lumpen proletariat is just basically a proletariat, but like without class consciousness. Hopefully that clears some things up. And again, that kind of opens up a new situation, right? Because if the proletariat does not have that consciousness, right, where does he fit into this technological world in which everything is mobilized? So what you get is a completely mobilized environment, but if you are a lumpen proletariat, then you do not know what's going on. And is this something that Junger is advocating for, right? Is he saying, look, the worker needs to be a lumpen proletariat so that he doesn't know and so that he can get on with his work? Or is he saying, like, does that he cannot be a lumpen proletariat so that he knows his place as a worker? So it kind of opens up a bunch of questions. So I think it's definitely interesting that he's putting things like that there. because again, the book does have to do with like types of people emerging. It has to do with classes of people emerging. So it's definitely interesting for him to like just allude to different philosophers beforehand that came before him and talk about how other people have classified stratas of society. Which oh, by the way, which is also something that we talked about in Vault's podcast, right? Because, and we might get to this later, I don't know, but technology does have this leveling effect that I just went on a rant on that other show. But yeah, I might bring it up here. I don't know if the situation
Yeah.
warrants it.
Let's
But
let's talk about technology because it's a futurist channel, so it's kind of like a
all
relevant
right,
theme that
yeah,
we should spend some time
CSD
on
knows what
that.
I'm talking about, right? CSD,
In
or
like
maybe not.
in like the forward, he talks about kamikaze pilots and how like it's like almost like man merged with machine.
Yeah, yeah.
For,
Hmm.
um, and
Yeah.
like yeah, they
So
kill themselves in the process. Like
yeah. So that's I believe Russell Berman.
yeah,
So that is just so remember like 10 minutes ago I was talking about the whole dehumanization process.
yeah,
That was the kamikaze is a great example because uh when I say dehumanize, I'm not talking inhumane, right? Inhumane is a moral statement. Like, oh, how could you do that? That is inhumane. No. I'm talking dehumane, like dehumanization, which is the quality of humans, right, being negated. And you can argue what it means to be human, but generally, I think it's understood here that being a human means to, have that kind of uh, create have that kind of dominance over other agency, have some sort of agency, right? And Junger saying, look, with the advent of total mobilization, which is the complete dominance of technology, in which everything is not industrialized towards technological needs. Uh, if everything is industrialized towards technological needs, well, humans aren't going to be left out. Humans are going to be industrialized. So then that's when people are going to say, look, you know what? We're going to have to dehumanize the human character, his hobbies, his leisures, his habits, his friends, his interests, his passions for sports or whatever. That's gone because you have to minimize what it means to be human so that it can fit the technological purpose. And that's why the kamikaze is a great example, because in kamikaze pod, it doesn't matter what your interests are or what your personality is. All it matters is if you can do the technological purpose well. And that is a great example because that is the time when when that is the moment when technology is no longer an extension of man but the other way around. That's when man is an extension of the machine.
yeah. Do we want to like? There's overlap in like his takes on technology and like how it's transforming warfare. We kind of touched on that like towards the beginning, but I don't think X was around at the time. So yeah, like did Junger think like the advance in technology in warfare was like a good thing or like a bad thing?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you thought of it as very soulless and dehumanizing compared to like the ancient Homeric struggle of heroes of swords against swords. He thought of the modern warfare as very, as not like real, I guess. Very fake and very dehumanizing. Which Marinetti would have obviously disagreed with him. At least
Yeah.
he saw it as a very positive thing. Well, Junger definitely did not. He liked war and he liked the experience of it, but he didn't like modern war. He really yearned for the ancient form of warfare.
Yeah, Marinetti thought that warfare was like, or modern warfare was the greatest form of like modern art, and he thought it was like beautiful aesthetically. To Marinetti, yeah, it's definitely like opposing view on technology and warfare. Like Junger kind of went on to like a more like naturalist, like not Primi exactly, but like a more naturalist kind of worldview later in life. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I became a bug scientist and started studying like bugs and shit.
Dropping
Yeah.
LSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and doing acid.
I remember watching an interview of Junger, and he said that the acid made him feel like he was back in the trenches.
It sounds like a bad trip. Like that doesn't sound like a good time. But
To Junger,
Yeah,
I think he said it in a good way. So, but that's just Junger.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of the. I think it's one of the most misinterpreted aspects of his thinking is he's really back and forth. Like you have this nihilistic interpretation of war and this technological focus where it's the end of heroism, but there's still images of heroism and moments of greatness that you see in the war, especially in Cops, his other book on war. One thing he talks about is the men hidden in the trenches or just in mud, and they drag out a machine gun, and then he describes it as bringing a dragon from out of the earth. So this is the other side of it. There's really a heroic image of it in that, and one of the ideas of it, it's called defense in depth, Verteidigen in der Tiefe, and it's a lot of it is like hiding in these unknown locations and hiding in woods and using it as this great camouflage and fighting like it's the end of the world. So there's really a mythological aspect of this type of war. So it's not entirely that he was opposed to the technological type of warfare.
Yeah, I have some things to say on that. So, again, like I said, to oversimplify things, you could think of like you could like kind of divide Junger into two, and it's oversimplification. Don't get me wrong, but to help understand things better, you could almost think of it like Heidegger, where he had like a churning phase during and after the war. Junger had a similar phase with his attitude towards technology. So, he has a very aggressive approach post Great World War One with On Pain, with Total Mobilization, with other books like The Worker, in which he's very much into the on the absolute dehumanization by technology, and compare it to Marinetti here because this is futurism forever. Even though at this point they both admire the prowess of technology. Uh, I think Marinetti was still fundamentally more optimistic about it, right? Marinetti was saying, look, with technology, we can express ourselves much better. We can, go beyond the limitations of the slow, mundane, everyday life. We can transcend and, live and stretch out our legs in the realm of speed and violence, right? We can become who we are in this realm of speed. And then Junger is saying, look, man, this is super cool because we what technology allows us to do is the exact opposite, right? Like it's gonna prevent us from doing exactly that. It's so great, yo. It's gonna prevent us from becoming who we are, and it's gonna make us into the worker type. And like again, if that sounds very pessimistic, well, it is. And Junger, it's important that Junger is very in support of that at this time. Which is also ironic because if you want an unthinking clog of machines, well, Junger was a very smart guy. He was a very thoughtful guy, even at this all throughout his life. So it's kind of ironic if you kind of put into that context. But anyways, to move on to Alcaz's point, definitely after 19 mid to late 1930s, with certain very prominent historical significant changes happening in Germany at that time, Junger was like, you know what, be careful what you wish for. Maybe this isn't really what I wanted. And then he started to kind of have a more critical eye at technology. And it's interesting because the uh, the um, the diagnosis that he has on technology, what it can do, what it is doing on culture, on civilization, on freedom, that never changed. That's the important thing. It never changed. Uh, what did change was whether what did change was his judgment on it, whether it was good or whether it was bad. And after World War II, he was more critical of it and saying, look, you have to somehow find a way to preserve your inner freedom. You have to preserve that human individual sacred liberty through the concept of the anarch. So yeah, to answer your question, yes and no, or to put it more accurately, no, then yes. He was critical of it, and then he was not. He was supportive of it. Then he became more critical of it as time went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of his anti-technological views were expressed in the Forest Passage, in which he expresses many of the same views that X just explained.
Yeah. I have not read his later work. I've only read On Pain, to be honest. Like, I haven't read his early work really either. This is like his shortest work, as far as I know. But like, yeah, it's the only thing by Junger that I have read. I need to get on that. But yeah. I don't know. Anyone have any thoughts on Pain that they would like to express? I don't really have like any questions at the moment. So,
I mean, just it seems like there's a lot of aspects, obviously, that he took from Nietzsche. Not all the thoughts in it are super original. I mean, I think Heidegger said that Junger was the only true follower of Nietzsche, and it seems to be pretty true based off this book specifically.
yeah. On individual liberty and like the anarch, Max Stirner has a quote like, liberty belongs to whoever has like the strength to take it. I'm paraphrasing, but would you say like the anarch concept is like kind of related to like Stirnerist like egoism, or I kind of think it is. Like, I think it's very related.
It's all this stuff is intertwined, honestly.
Yeah.
I there's one Ernst Junger quote that I really like about the anarch, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it word for word. But it was something about, it was like, the main principle that makes me an anarch is the fact that I essentially don't take the world seriously. And I always liked that quote. I thought that was a good quote.
Yeah.
I don't know what like the deeper meaning of it is, because I haven't read any of his later works on the anarch, but I've always liked that quote.
Yeah, as well as the one with where he goes into the anarch, and I've read like quotes from it, but I haven't read the work in full, so I'm definitely not an authority on the concept.
I mean, yeah, I can maybe help out on that. So, yeah, Junger explicitly states in Oymisville that like Stirner's the main guy that the anarch is based on. Like I was like if I could speak for Junger, he would probably say, you know what, 65%, 60% Stirner, 30% Nietzsche, then 10% everyone else. And so Stirner was very much the catalyst for the concept of the anarch. To answer Luke's question, I always took that as like it the he was I always took that the I don't take the world seriously quote as a not a double meaning, but in a way where he's saying, because I take freedom seriously, I do not take the world seriously as it is. That was how I interpreted it. Oymisville, I don't want to go off too off tangent because this is on Pain, of course, but Oymisville happens to stand around a very culturally dead post-liberal, culturally dead society, post-industrial society. No cultural significance is going on, and everyone just filled with like Nietzsche and Last Man types. And so none of them takes their lives seriously. And so Junger's saying, you know what, I'm gonna take my life seriously, and therefore that necessitates that I do not take this world seriously, because this world does not take their lives seriously. That was my interpretation of it.
That was mine too. It's like a serious person in an unserious world.
Okay, I kind of took it the opposite way, but I'd only seen it on like Twitter, so there was no greater context for me to take it from. I took it more in like of a very, very reckless nature.
Yeah. No.
But it kind of seems like it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. It's two sides of the same coin, I guess. Like, you're serious about life, so you want to live life to the fullest.
So you don't take the modern society seriously.
Yeah, I think that's more of it.
Okay.
There was
if you think about it, modern society is pretty fucking ridiculous. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, fucking global homo. But
it's kind of modern society is like a clown show. You really should not be taken seriously. Like, I hate people who are obsessed over the fucking news. Like, oh my god, the fucking some fucking shit happening, halfway across the world is going on. Like, 2 people died or something.
Oh no,
like,
Poodler.
Yeah, it's like nigga, who gives a fuck? Well, the Ukraine thing's a little more important, but
I was just saying.
I digress.
I was just saying Putin in general.
I think that's a little more. I'm saying like fucking, some hurricane hits fucking India or something.
Oh yeah. Pray for the Philippines.
I'm just saying, like, the world's it's a fucking rat race. It's been said a lot of times before, but like, people are just led by the media to give a shit about things they should really not give a shit about. Like,
yeah, state-run media or media-run state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Junger says, like, I am an anarch not because I despise authority, but because I need it. Likewise, I am not a non-believer, but a man who demands something worth believing in. So yeah, it's like the modern society is just like it's left lacking.
It should not be believed in. Like,
yeah. The whole thing with the anarch, to my understanding, is like he acknowledges authority and he acknowledges power, but like where the
there's no worthy,
where the anarchist would throw a bomb at it and try and like kill it or whatever to liberate himself from authority. Junger acknowledges it and figures out ways to work around it.
Yeah, Luke, me and you have talked about this. Like, if there was an Alexander the Great figure who was in America, like, me and you would instantly become his greatest followers. But somebody like Donald Trump doesn't deserve, Donald Trump
exactly.
is not something dying for.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that
was
when we talked about the
Alexander the Great,
Capitol.
though. Yeah.
That was like when we talked about the Capitol thing.
Yeah. Like, if there was an Alexander the Great or a Caesar, even a fucking Mussolini in America, me and you would be, taking bullets from him and shit.
One of his best,
Yeah.
I think we talked about this in like the beauty and necessity of violence also, like on the question of war, because like futurists, there's like the glorification of war and it's your national duty to put your life on the line for your nation and all that. And I asked the question, like, as futurists in America in 2022, like, how relevant is this to us in the here?
Not at all.
Like,
yeah,
I'm not putting my life on the line.
We've actually gotten criticized. Futurists and Forever's gotten criticized. Like, well, you guys are futurists. Why aren't you fucking fighting in wars? Like, man, there's not really any good wars to fight. Like, at least in World War I, Italy was trying to regain its ethnic land.
Yeah, it lacks context. Like, America is in a completely different situation than Italy was in the 1910s and 1920s.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, as futurists or like political dissidents, we definitely should not like be putting our bodies on the line for the nation. Like, we're revolutionary. So, that's our fight. That's our war. Like, overthrowing the existing power structure.
Also, not all futurists at the time supported World War I either. Like, the Russian futurists didn't support it.
Yeah, there was like they were.
That's because they were all like communists and they were anti-Tsar.
Yeah, to them it was like workers of the world. They didn't think like proletariats should be fighting each other for
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, it's not just like, oh, all wars are great to all futurists. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
War is good when it's a good war.
Yeah, when it's a just war, when it's a war worth fighting in.
Yeah.
Oh, what I want to say though about also like that's kind of a dumb example with like the well, why don't you love your country now? Well, it's like or your nation because like there's a huge difference between your nation and your government. So like you can love your nation and still hate the government of America. Like those two things are very different.
Yeah, I'm not going to Iran or whatever to kill brown people for neoliberalism. Like
for Israel.
Yeah.
Listen here, NATO. I'm not going to die for fucking Ukraine.
Yeah. For some pigs. Some dudes riding pigs.
That Ukraine thing ain't even gonna happen, it looks like.
Yeah. Fucking big nothing burger. Big nothing burger.
What is the fucking pig thing even coming from? I hear it all the time.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
I have no fucking idea. I just push it. I just think it's funny. Honestly, I have no fucking clue. But I did hear something when I was in Serbia. There was this chick that told me that, and I don't know how true this is, but that when the Soviet Union like created Ukraine and like set up the borders, that they moved like that they took all the people that were there and they rounded up all the intellectuals and anybody with a high IQ and killed them. So like everybody in Ukraine is like fucking retarded.
That's what they did. That's what they did in Poland. So it's probably true.
Yeah.
Fucking it's like it was a famous thing.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm very apathetic on current events.
On what?
It's called the Katyn massacre. I'm not Polish.
Yeah, the Katyn massacre. Yeah. They killed
There's
like 30,000 Polish intellectuals and like high-ranking military officials.
Yeah, they try to blame it on the Germans, but I was gonna say on this whole topic of choosing your battles, anchor it back to the book, and I know I'm gonna sound like a broken how does the expression go?
Broken record.
Yeah, broken record. There you go. I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but like with Junger in the Anarch part, like he specifically he explicitly writes in the Oimzo, even when marching rank and file, the Anarch wages his own wars. So that kind of sentiment that you guys were having, like that definitely rings true with like the Anarch in later years of Junger. But and again, here's where the broken record comes in. In the 20s and 30s, like dude, like he did not care, bro. Like if the authorities of if your authorities dictate it, you go die, like you go fight. Doesn't matter how dumb the conflict is, and the rationale behind that is not out of some it is very much part of undying loyalty that Junger advocated for during the 20s and 30s, like unquestionable loyalty, no ifs and buts. But there is also the like I said many times, the factor of, well, your life is just not meaningful. It's just like it's 80% machine now. It's like, so you're not human, so you go and fight. And that's where I was saying, like, well, that's where I was bringing up the irony part. Like, if Junger's like doing all this philosophy stuff, like big IQ ideas, like where does he fit into the whole worker situation? But I digress on that point. So yeah, the whole choosing your battles thing, definitely interesting to look at, because Junger would have react with different attitudes based on what time period that you would talk to, based on what time period he was in. And so yeah, essentially you could see a clear distinction. And one last thing, definitely important to remember that the actual diagnosis of the war, whether it was diagnosing the war as futile, as violent, as meaningless, that never changed, right? It never changed, but it was the attitudes towards that meaningless that altered. But the actual futility of the war, that never changed.
Yeah, the line from Fight Club comes to mind. Like, we have no Great Depression, we have no great wars. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. I think that kind of sums up where we're at in the 21st century, as far as like picking your wars goes. Work on yourself first. Work on people you care about. Work on your like local communities. I mean, we don't have like a real nation at this point in time. So, you know, you're fighting for like, if you're going to war for patriotic reasons for America or whatever, like,
Yeah, it's retarded.
yeah, don't do that shit. You're helping the enemy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been going for about an hour now. I think we've touched on like the main themes of On Pain. So does anyone have like final thoughts on the text that they want to share before we wrap up?
Go read him.
Read
Yeah.
Junger.
I got to read more Junger too. Like I said, On Pain is all I've read. Initially 3 years ago, and like I reread it this afternoon. It is a great read. I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I basically agree with the sentiment that pain is a good thing. You shouldn't run from it. You know,
It's natural. Get used to it.
Yeah.
It's part of existence. You know.
Get used to it, soy boy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's one thing I
Toughen
want
up.
to say though. If you're gonna read Junger, I think that it's good to make sure you go out of your way to buy from like publishing houses that are like, you know, allies, like Mystery Grove, Rogue Scholar, Antelope Hill. I know Rogue Scholar has Cope's on there, has Junger's Cope's book, and then I think Mystery Grove has the earliest translation of Storm of
Or you
Steel.
can buy
It's
from
really
me.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Walt is
yeah.
a publisher.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter what publicist. It just like, you know, make sure you're trying to buy books from guys that have like mind.
Wald, what is your publishing company?
Well, I just started it, trying to figure out the name, but I made the name Action Press.
Okay, cool.
Is it
What,
like
give you the
Action
telegram.
T4?
Sorry, what was that?
What's the name based off of?
That's a mythological figure. He was a hunter, and he saw what happened. He saw Artemis in the woods, and then what happened was that he got turned into a deer, and Artemis turned his own hunting dogs against him, which tore him apart.
What's the name again?
Action.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, check out. Is there like a website we can link or something? People want to look at it.
Yeah, I'll give you the telegram.
Yeah, if it sells Junger stuff, it'd be a good segue.
yeah, everyone check out X's channel too. He's done a lot of really great videos on Junger, and more recently Yukio Mishima. He mentioned in the chat that he has something in the works about Oswald Spengler and Man and Technics. It's a really good big brain channel. He does good content. Highly recommend it.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was muted. Whoops. Yeah, so yeah, CSD and I, Vol 2, us three are gonna go big brain on that. It's gonna be a 3-episode book club on Man and Technics, which you guys were quoting earlier. And
That's
we're
a
gonna
great book. I've read that like 4 times.
Yeah,
I read it
we're
once. It's good.
We're gonna go big brain on it. We're gonna talk about we're gonna nitpick every detail, and it's a very concise book, so I thought it'll be great for a book club. So yeah, thanks for giving me a shout out. I mean, I love to give other people here a shout out. Like I know, I mean, I only know CSD, Vault, and Geo. Sorry, but Luke, it was nice meeting you. And Outcast, I've met you before. Like CSD has a great blog that I help out on. Vault, you know, like. Or like I'm telling you, like I said it in the other show, like if it like whatever you think of my channel, like if you make it 20 times smarter, like that's what you would get with Vault. And then Geo, you know, you've been doing this Futurism Forever stuff for about a year, I guess, if not more. So yeah.
Marches are 1 year.
Okay, so it's almost a year. Yeah. Good stuff.
And yeah, we're gonna keep doing what we've been doing, more futurist content, anarchist content, delve into different art movements.
Yeah, I'll say one thing though about Futurism Forever. It's kind of related to the text, like the whole quote, like what kills you makes you immeasurably stronger. That's kind of what happened to Futurism Forever. We've been killed so many times. Futurism Forever started out And then like me and Giovanni started, in March, and we fucking ended the I had to go, so Giovanni ended the project, and then he restarted after the new Canadian movement fell apart. And then we've had so much drama and shit, but we've persevered through all of it, through all the pain, I guess.
It seems every trad fag on the internet is permanently butthurt that someone does a futurist channel, but it is what it is. Like, I didn't expect the level of like pushback that we got.
It's good though, man. It's we're fighting through that pain. We're fighting through the death. We've died like Future Forever has ended like 3 times.
I ended Futurism Forever on New Year's, and
you also ended it when I left originally in A3P.
I was working on like the New Canada movement, and that didn't work out. So I kind of like revived it, and then you came back in the picture, and we kind of picked up where we left off. Then
the doxing thing happened, and you ended it, but you restarted it. We've died twice, but we're still alive.
Yeah, you can't get rid of us.
Yeah.
Futurism Forever. Check out CSD's blog. Luke, anything you want to shill before we wrap up?
I mean, I guess follow me on Twitter, Patriot Progeny. That's it.
Yeah, Luke makes good content.
It's more of it's not a super serious Twitter though, so I shit post a lot on there.
He's a mischievous lad.
All right, on that note, thanks for listening, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully some of you check out Ernst Junger a little more. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about the manifesto of the Futurist Political Party. So that should be a good episode. We're planning on putting a good panel together for that one. This is like the futurist group that ended up getting absorbed into the Fascio de Combattimento. So it's like an important text of proto-fascism.
It's going to be a very contentious episode, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, till then, salute.
Salute.
Live fast, die young.
Me and Gio were already arguing about it.